Today's selection is Yahshua is the Light.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we just pay attention to the things that are going on, we know that the redemption of the children of Israel is definitely coming close. But there are still a lot of things that have to take place. We cannot get to the place where, we have things written where it says men's heart is going to fail them for fear. And if we are getting to that point in the beginning part of the game, we're going to really have a problem when the earth starts shaking. And those who pay attention to the skies now already know that the sky does not look right. There's some really strange things already going on. But when we start getting to the point where things are turning jet black and blood red, if you're already having some issues now, you're going to definitely have some issues when it comes down to that. So we have to start preparing our minds and our hearts for the things that are going to come upon us. It's one thing if we were off in La La Land and then these things came to us and we were thrown off guard. We have no reason to be thrown off guard. That's what we read this book for. How are we thrown off? If somebody's thrown off, it shouldn't be us. We're supposed to be the ones sitting there saying, I told you. You see that? I told you. Look at that right there. That's supposed to be us. We're not supposed to be the folk hiding in the corner. We're supposed to be looking at them hiding in the corner. Because when you get dancing and singing is all you get out of here, and there's a whole lot of Hebrews who's going to be hiding in the corner as well. Because, that Shema thing is real nice until something happens. It's real easy to sing and dance when you got you some tambourines and drums and all of that. But when the earth is beating and you don't see no drum, but it sounds like one beating, we're going to see if you still feel like singing. But we have to understand that that's coming. And the more that you get yourself ready spiritually, then you will be able to talk yourself out of that great amount of fear. Because bottom line, there is, things that we've gotten, accustomed to, just the regular sound of thunder. Man, there's thunder that's so loud that it'll make a grown man want to take off running. And we keep thinking that because we've heard thunder before, that when we read this book and it says that they were great thunders and lightnings, that we think we heard something like that before. You ain't never heard this kind of thunder. So there's a place that you have to put it in your head so that you're not greatly shaken. Because even those who study the book, it's going to shake us up when this stuff comes. Don't get it twisted. But if you don't have any root in yourself, you're going to really, really have some problems when Yahshua returns. And it came to pass as Yahshua went to Jerusalem that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. And they lifted up their voices and said, Yahshua, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said unto them, Go show yourselves unto the priests. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back and with a loud voice glorified Elohim. Now, you have to pay attention to what happened. Yahshua gave them instructions. Go show yourselves unto the priests. But then there's one, because he is so happy about what has happened to him, he turned back and come back to Yahshua. And he fell down on his face at his feet, giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan. And Yahshua answering said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? There are not found that return to give glory to Elohim, save this stranger. And he said unto him, Arise, go your way. Your faith has made you whole. This is something that we have to consider. The instructions was to go show yourselves unto the priest. But one of them was so happy. He said, all right, I'm going to show myself to them, but I'm going to go back and give glory. Understand, they were not healed right away. He told them to go. They start walking. You have to wonder if the other ones even realized that they were healed right away. He realized, looking down at himself, that he no longer has leprous skin. He turned around and went back. So I'm going to go to the priest, but I'm going to go back and give glory unto the one that Yahweh used to heal me. Then I'll go. And the one who did this was the stranger. You have to remember, Yahshua says, the publicans and the harlots go to the kingdom before you. There's going to be a whole lot of Hebrews hurt when we get stuck at the door and you look and a whore just walk in. You, hey, what, wasn't that Easy Breezy just went by? Yeah. See, the difference is Easy Breezy would listen and change her heart. See, we know so much. We got a problem with this. We got a problem with that. We don't understand this. We won't deal with that. Right. And then we get stuck at the door and Easy Breezy went through. That's something we need to consider. Let's begin today's sermon in Deuteronomy chapter 20.
Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 1. When you goeth out to battle against your enemies, and seize horses and chariots, and a people more than you, be not afraid of them, for Yahweh your Elohim is with you, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt.
What we have to understand is in every battle that we are going to have, we are going to be outmanned and outgunned in every last one of them. You need to go ahead and get that through your head right now. These people study war. This is what they do. They have been doing it forever and ever. Even when you deal with the mentality of what is in the land of Israel. America and Great Britain go over there, teach those people how to war, give them weapons, set up an army, if you will, disarm the people who they call the Palestinians, and then announce the day that they're walking out. They automatically knew what was going to happen. It was a completely uneven fight. One of them has an organized army that was set up by Babylon, and the other one has been completely disarmed, so they got sticks and rocks. And to this day, you see the same thing. You see them throwing something by hand or dealing with some man-made missile, while these people got drones and got all of these things, and Babylon is constantly giving them more and more stuff. So that fight will never be even. The difference is they're fighting without Yahweh Elohim. That's why their rocks and sticks don't work. People say, oh, it's crazy to fight with rocks and sticks. Depending on who you got behind that rock. If Yahshua behind that rock, you're going to win. They're going to try to figure out, what kind of rock was that? That man threw a rock and it went through the tank. They're going to be trying to look, let's just put our guns down and let's get some rocks. No, because see, you ain't got Yahshua behind you. That's why your rocks don't work. See? Go ahead.
Verse 2. And it shall be, when you're come near unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people. And shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, you approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble. Neither be you terrified because of them.
So this is the job of the priest, to quiet down the hearts of the people and let them know that this is the reason why we try to walk as humbly and justly before our Elohim as possible, because it's him who's going to fight for us. It's the angels of Yahweh that he's going to send to do this battle, but it's other men that we're going to see. This is why walking out of the line of what we're supposed to deal with can be very, very dangerous for us. Because you get to the point where in 1 minute, you have the angels of Yahweh fighting for you. And in the next minute, because of some stuff that you decided to get off into, some of our own self-will, now all of a sudden you're fighting by yourself. And you realize, normally when I swing, 10 people fall down. Now you swing and everybody just look at you. So take a minute to figure out, well, I think Yahweh gone, y'all. I don't think he here today. Because before everything we swung at, we hit. You don't want to figure that out in the midst of the battle. And there are times that Israel didn't have to figure that out in the midst of the battle. Because Moshe told them, don't go up because Yahweh is not with you. But see, you can't tell us nothing. We went up anyway. That's us. Go ahead.
For Yahweh your Elohim is he that goes with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new house, and has not dedicated? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it.
Now, you have to listen to these things in the law, because Israel, we mighty slick. Later on, you'll find we'll use these same things right here to get out of something, and we'll pull it out in the law.
Well, let me go, because I got a house, and I have not dedicated it, and I got a wife, and I have not,
Right. Go ahead.
And what man is he that has planted a vineyard, and has not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that has betrothed a wife, and has not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house.
Let him go and return unto his house. This is where the faint-hearted is supposed to be. They supposed to be at their house. Because see, what's going to happen if they at his house, they're going to cause other people to be faint-hearted. Because that's what it does. It spreads from seat to seat, from chair to chair, from ear to ear to heart. So if you're faint-hearted, go home. Go ahead.
Lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart.
Uh-huh.
And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When you come near unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it.
Now, instructions. When you go to war, the first thing we are supposed to do is to proclaim peace unto it, to give it an opportunity to walk away from the battle. Y'all remember the days when the police used to have warning shots? Now the warning shot be the first one that's in your back? Pow! I warned him. Yeah, but you shot him. That's not a warning shot if he got hit with the shot. Go ahead.
And it shall be, if it make you answer of peace and open unto you, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto you, and they shall serve you.
Right. This is the conditions if they decide that they're not going to fight. They should be tributaries. You do not war against that particular city. So then Yahweh is allowing these people to choose whether or not you go to war with them. The people are actually making that decision. And when Yahweh want a land to be destroyed, he will make them people act a certain way toward you. They won't even know why. So that they will not listen to any conditions of peace, but will have war. And several times that has happened in Israel. When we proclaim something, they say, no, you ain't coming through our land. You ain't doing nothing. Yahweh has made the decision. All right, kill them. And I'm going to make sure, because they're going to come against you so harsh that you don't have a choice. Go ahead.
And if it will make no peace with you, but will make war against you, then you shall besiege it. And when Yahweh Elohim has delivered it into your hands, you shall smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword.
Understand what's happening to us. Understand what warfare is. You war against the males. Do you not understand that this nation has been warring against us since the day that we got here? We went from a situation of being assets during slavery to being a feared liability of this country right after that. It was wonderful to have a stud male that you can make more slaves with. That then became a problem afterwards. Then they had to figure out a way to limit those numbers. Whether it be prison, whether it be disease, whether it be these vaccinations that'll get inside of you and slow down your reproduction and give you all kind of ailments, but it's a slow ailment maker. So some of those ailments we didn't feel until 20 years later. They've been waging war on us for a long time. But it goes according to the conditions of war. Kill all the males. And sometimes it's even difficult to even explain this to females because the system will allow them a greater opportunity to come through. So when we say that we're being warred against all day, when we get home from work, there's some women that don't understand what it is we have gone through that whole day. We've been at war all day. So we get home and they looking at us like, what's wrong with you? I've been at war all day.
You've been at work. That ain't war.
Don't understand. Because it's not happening to them. The way that war is waged, you wage war with the male, you subdue the female. They've done the same thing over and over in every land, in every country. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 20 and verse 14. But the women and the little ones and the cattle and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shall you take unto yourselves. And you shall eat the spoil of your enemies, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. Thus shall you do unto all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations. But of the cities of these people, which Yahweh Elohim does give you for an inheritance, you shall save alive nothing that breathes.
But of the cities of these people, which Yahweh your Elohim does give you for an inheritance, these cities you shall save alive nothing that breathes. Because everything that is still breathing is going to cause you a problem in truly serving your Elohim. The closer you got to you, something that encourages you to go against Yahweh, the bigger your problem is. But see, the problem is we don't see that that's what's happening. See, when people make little suggestions here and suggestions there, they don't consider that they're trying to get you to go against Yahweh. Yahweh said, don't have that right near you, because that's going to cause you a problem. Go ahead.
But you shall utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, that they teach you not to do after all their abominations, which they have done unto their gods. So should you sin against Yahweh your Elohim.
Right. He knew exactly what's going to happen. You hang around them people, they're going to teach you their ways. And you have to consider something when you're hanging around somebody. Either you are influencing them or they are influencing you. And you're going to have to make a decision which one that's going to be. Whether you're going to be the influenced or the influencer. So every time somebody come with some of their little dirty doctrine, you supposed to pull out your sword and issue some clean doctrine. Every time they come with their dirty, here come your clean. Because if you don't do that, there's a situation where now they are affecting you, but you're not offering anything to even fight within your spirit. So what happened is, later on, a couple of hours later, you find yourself entertaining the thoughts of what was suggested by another individual. You ever had somebody come around you, sing a song, and before you know it, you're singing the same song? They put that song in your head, and then that song in your heart. You're walking around, and then sometimes you have to pause. And the hell, I'm singing that song. Right. Somebody else was singing that song. Then they got you singing that song. Doctrine is the same way. You keep letting them flow it out there. Keep letting them drop it. Before you know it, you have entertained some of it and don't even know it. I got family members who will throw out the name of their pagan Jesus like it ain't nothing. I give everybody 2 free Jesuses. He like, Jesus! I was like, that one. Wow, praise that. Number 2, there it is. Now here come my Yahshuas. They coming. Every time you throw your dirt, I'm going to throw me some clean. But I give them 2 free ones. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 19. When you shall besiege a city a long time, in making war against it to take it, you shall not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them, for you may eat of them, and you shall not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which you know that they be not trees for meat, you shall destroy and cut them down, and you shall build bulwarks against the city that makes war with you, until it be subdued.
Right. So then we have to consider some things. Now, oil is indicative of the spirit. Leavened bread represents the sin of man. We have to understand what bread does. When you go into a restaurant, if you ain't careful, you're going to fill up on bread. If you get to one of them good restaurants, they bring that hot bread out. put the little oil and butter there. You tore up by the time they bring the meal.
He's like, what's this right here?
This your plate, sir.
Oh, I'm full now. You done brought that bread and oil.
But what does the bread do? The bread sops up the oil. So consider that in our spiritual terms. The leavened bread is going to sop up the oil. Oil is a representation of the spirit. Leavened bread is a representation of sin. Sin sops up your oil or sops up your spirit. The more leavened bread that you have within you, the less oil you're going to have because it keeps soaking it up. So this is why sometimes we get to situations and people will say, this particular thing caused this person to fall. Here it is, as situations come upon the earth, we will think that that particular situation made us fall or made our faith fail. That's not what made the faith fail. It was all the things, the leavened bread, the sin that we had before that sopped up all our oil or our spirit. Now there's no more spirit left. So in comes the sickness, in comes something upon the earth. There's no more oil left. Now it shows. But this wasn't the problem. The problem was all the things that were being done before that. Each one of them, sopping up your oil, sopping up your oil, sopping up your oil. Now here comes the situation. Everybody else got oil in their lamp. You ain't got none. Back up. Find out what was sopping up your oil. See, we got friends and acquaintances and all that. They sopping up your oil. So then when something happened, that ain't what caused your faith to fail. It was the stuff before that. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23. See, that's what troubleshooting is. You back up and try to figure out what initially caused the problem of something. See, this is why when you go to a doctor or a mechanic, they want to hear everything that happened. All right, tell me what your car made what noise? Okay, so what were you doing when it made the noise? Okay, how many times did you hear the noise? Was you going at a certain speed?
Look, man, I don't know all this.
Well, hey, it's hard to fix the problem. I need to know when the problem showed up. You can't just tell me, you know what I'm saying, the car made a ticking noise. It was going tick, tick, tick. And then sometimes it be going ding, dong, ding, dong. So your car said ding, dong? Yeah. What were you doing? I was turning. Damn it, them in the blinkers. All right, come on now. You got to get better than that now. Come on. What? See, but hey, believe it or not, I had people telling me, you know, hey, I got problems in this house. There's stuff that just keeps beeping. Go right to it. You see that smoke detector right there? That big red light on. You see that red light right there? Okay, red mean what? What you think red mean? Okay. You see the other one over there? You see that one green, right? Okay, El No Beepo from that one, right? Okay, you the red one, El Beepo, right? So what do you think problem is? Right. Okay. When you're dealing with spiritual things, go in reverse. And you start figuring out what is sopping up your oil. And it may be some little bitty light thing that just keeps happening. And it may sound like the sweetest thing ever. But you keep noticing some of your oil is missing every time. Go ahead, bro.
Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 9. When the host goes forth against your enemies, then keep you from every wicked thing.
Right. Now this is something that I'm going to need the men of Israel to pay attention to, and women of Israel too, because I don't think we consider how deep some of this is going to go. When the host goes forth to fight against your enemies. So understand, even in understanding that means you know that you're getting help from Yahweh, your Elohim. This is not just you fighting. So then for the angel to be with us, we have to keep ourselves spiritually clean. Listen, go ahead.
If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness, that chances him by night.
Stop. So if he was thinking some things last night that caused him to be loquacious for some reason, And I know that is not how you use that word, but we're going to keep going. Use your imagination. Okay, now, then, now he is unclean. So consider what's happening there. So while the host is going forth, Yahweh expecting you to keep yourself from your wife. I got some real serious looks right now. Wait a minute, what you saying there? Say that again to me. What exactly are you saying when you said what you done said? Right. Go ahead.
Then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp.
So, because the host goes forth in the camp, we finna get ready to fight holy war. You can't be indulging yourself. Remember, when Dawid was trying to get the brother to go and sleep with his wife, the brother said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I got men out here. We out here going to war. I gotta go back with my men. Yeah, but you know your man is here. You done came back home. No, man, I'm not doing that. I gotta go back and go to war. I want to be spiritually clean. So this fine specimen of a woman I got here, this is a beautiful piece of pulchritude, but I am not finna go and partake in this beautiful woman. I'm finna go back in these woods with these dudes who I'm warring with. Messed up that way he's playing. Thought he was gonna come home and indulge because he wasn't in the woods no more. So no, man, I need the protection of my Elohim on me. So I'm gonna keep myself. I don't think we consider that. Read.
But it shall be, when evening comes on, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again.
He got to go outside the camp. Because he had too many thoughts. Consider that. All y'all who like to dream, you have them real in-depth dreamage. We look up and there's 10 brothers outside the gate. What the hell? Oh, we know what happened to them. Hey man, y'all need to stop thinking about stuff before you lay down. We're gonna know exactly what it is when 10 brothers standing outside the gate in the morning. So I can't come in until the night. Right? Go ahead.
You shall have a place also without the camp, whither you shall go forth abroad. And you shall have a paddle upon your weapon, and it shall be, when you will ease yourself abroad, you shall dig therewith, and shall turn back and cover that which comes from you.
Right, you know the stuff that the dogs used to do. The dogs would use the bathroom and would kick the dirt over when they use the bathroom. Dogs don't do that no more. The dog's whole DNA has changed now. Cause we got house dogs. It's hard to kick up carpet. So, you know, dogs done lost that whole skill. And especially now, because they got those pooper scoop bags. So, you be seeing folk walking, they got the pooper scoop bag in the hand. So then the dog use the bathroom, and then the owner goes over there and scoops it up with the little pooper scoop bag. So the dog like ain't no need of me kicking it. So now the dog used to kick back and look back. Now the dog use it and look back. You gonna get that? You gonna get it going? Come on, Sarah, pick that up now. Well, it's still warm. Ha. Go ahead, bro.
For Yahweh Elohim walks in the midst of your camp, to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore shall your camp be holy.
Right. If your camp is not holy, you have an opportunity or a situation where the angel of Yahweh can turn away from your camp. So you have to do those necessary things to keep that camp spiritually clean. And hypocrisy will dirty up your camp. See, this is a natural uncleanness in the camp. There's spiritual uncleanness that will cause your camp to be unclean, and Yahweh won't be able to walk through it to save you. Go ahead.
That he see no unclean thing in you, and turn away from you.
All right, you finish that?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Judges chapter 7. So there's a reason why in the end of the book you start reading things and it's talking about the house of Dawid and their wives apart. You know, the house of this tribe and their wives apart. When it comes down to some of these holy things that are going to have to take place, it is going to be a serious matter. And when you want the protection of Yahweh our Elohim, then we're going to have to do some things. But see, some of us are all about, you know, getting what we want, what we dealing with, what we think, how we feel, what we believe. And it's those very things that's going to keep us from having the protection of Yahweh. Because that angel is not going to, he's not going to negotiate with you. He has a job to do. And if he got 10,000 people that'll listen, but 5 of y'all off in the corner doing y'all thing, he not finna stop the other 9,000 plus for them 5. No, them 5 gonna fall into a hole somewhere. They gonna say, oh man, it was such an accident. And you're like, it was an accident, all right. I took care of that business. Now the rest of these can go on. Because them 5 was holding me back. Every time I say something, they got something else to say. Let's go ahead and do away with them. Now everybody else moves smooth. Because he's not going to receive a failing report. He's not going to go to Yahweh with an excuse. He going to go to Yahweh with, you told me to be on top of this hill at the 3rd month. I am on this hill at the 3rd month. Now I left with 20,000. It's roughly 13,000 now, is what I'm saying to you. Okay? But I got exactly where you got, but I had to kill about 7,000 of your folk, because you know your folk. But I got the way you wanted me to be. And he's going to receive a job well done. Because Yahweh expect him to deal with them 7,000 that ain't going to listen. He'll deal with them. Whoever you get to this hill at this time is who's supposed to be here. Everybody else die off in the process, that's what's supposed to happen. Be at this hill right here. Because I got a battle that's going to have to happen. And only the ones who make it are the ones who I even want to fight. Go ahead.
Judges chapter 7 and verse 1. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him, rose up early, and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, the people that are with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hands has saved me.
Right. Israel ain't changed to this day. Israel will end up saying, my own hands have done this. I did this. Go ahead.
Now therefore go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000.
And I remember reading some things about this. There are some of the scholars that say it wouldn't have been Mount Gilead. It was another Mount Gilboa or something where it would have been, because it wouldn't have gotten that far in yet. But go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down onto the water, and I will try them for you there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto you, this shall go with you, the same shall go with you. And of whomsoever I say unto you, this shall not go with you, the same shall not go.
Right. See, we don't know that we're working to get a spot in Yahweh's army. Everybody who show up don't get a rifle. Even the natural army will tell you, no. They can't fight with us. They got an issue. See, when we get out there in the woods, they're going to be shooting up. They can't come. This person here got a heart. You might find out you got something wrong with you ain't know. Say, yeah, man, you got a heart murmur. Got a what? What are you talking about? Say, no, you can't join. And to keep us out of their army, Yahweh might make something happen to us just that week that we go in for the checkup. We try to join the man's army. You go in there and Yahweh like, make that heart beat funny. Yeah, this whole week I wanted to beat funny. He was like, man, your heart sound like a drum. What the boom, 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 boom. They like, they listening to you, they like, I don't know what the dance or what? What's wrong with you? No, you can't come, you can't join our army, man. Something wrong with you. Right, then it started back being regular as soon as he leave. Right, Yahweh said no. Go ahead.
Verse 5. So he brought down the people onto the water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, everyone that laps up the water with his tongue, as a dog laps, him shall you set by himself. Likewise, every one that bows down upon his knees to drink.
Now, what you have to consider here is not only what's being done, but how it's being done. Yahweh is actually separating who he's going to use based upon how they do something that has nothing to do with the law. I'm going to need you to rattle that around for a second. There are some people that are doing things and not understanding that Yahweh is saying, pick him, leave her, pick him, leave her, pick him, pick these three based on how they are doing something that has absolutely nothing to do with his law. How you drink water ain't got a damn thing to do with the law. There's not a right or a wrong way to drink water. Where did you find some thou shalt drinketh with thy handeth to thy moutheth? When the hell did you read that? So he's separating people by things that they will have no way of offering any of their trickery. Because see, people will pretend to do right as long as they know people looking. Yahweh is judging men by things that they will have absolutely no knowledge of. Because it's not written. There's nothing that tells you how to drink water. Yet he's separating men this way. And he's doing the same thing amongst us. There's some things that even if they studied all night, they couldn't figure out what he was using. And he's watching how they do certain things. Right. Sit them over to the side. Go ahead.
And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into your hand. And let all the other people go, every man onto his place.
And you know how we are. We actually think we are more right when more people follow us. So, all the people who bowed down upon their knees felt in good company. Because everybody did what they did. Yet, he's looking at the people who didn't do what everybody else did. That's the easier thing to do. Let's go to Luke chapter 9. Man, what is that air set on?
77.
Man, turn it off for a second. Every time we turn it off, it just go to another temperature and turn back on. Now, if I'm feeling the chill, I know they freezing over there. Luke chapter 9 and let's see. Started at 51.
Verse 51. And it came to pass, when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face. And they went and entered into a village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. And they did not receive him, because his face was as though he would go to Jerusalem.
And understand, when you deal with the Samaritans, when they talked about save this stranger, this is one of those things, because Israel has been divided at this point. Go ahead.
And when his disciples Jacob and Johanan saw this, they said, Adonai, will you that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, you know not what manner of spirit you are of. For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them.
Right. One thing you'll find out about these disciples, Yeshua was constantly admonishing them. He was constantly correcting them, and they didn't take off running every time they got corrected. That's the difference between Israel and Jake. Israel can be corrected. You can't tell Jake nothing. As soon as you correct Jake, Jake upset. Yahshua has said some very strong things. He couldn't make Cephas leave. And he knew he was saying things that they didn't understand. But they waited on their understanding. Go ahead.
And they went to another village. And it came to pass that, as they went in the way, a certain man said unto him, Adonai, I will follow you whithersoever you go.
Right.
And Yahshua said unto him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has not where to lay his head.
First of all, you need to understand that Allah don't care who tell it. Allah go home with anybody. And sometimes what people say, they may actually believe at the time that they say it, because they don't understand what all that's going to entail. I'll follow you wherever you go. I'll do such and such. But you find out when the journey is getting ready to be made, here come the excuses. Go ahead.
And he said unto another, Follow me. But he said, Adonai, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Yahshua said unto him, Let the dead bury their dead. But go you and preach the kingdom of Elohim.
Right. And you see, there's a difference between the ones who are going to be leaders in Yahweh's word and those who are going to be taught his word. There's going to be a higher expectation upon those leaders. And they can't put everything before Yahweh. Go ahead.
And another also said, Adonai, I will follow you, but let me first go bid them farewell, which are at home at my house.
Right. See, this is one of the big no-nos if you're going to follow Yahweh, that you put your house over Yahweh. Now, first let me go take care of my house. Then I'm going to follow you. What? He had no problem letting that come out of his mouth. Let me go deal with my house. Then I'll come and I'll serve you. I'll follow you. He already knows something wrong with this servant right here. Something wrong with him now. Go ahead.
And Yahshua said unto him, No man, having putting his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of Elohim.
Right. You cannot start the job of dealing with Yahweh our Elohim and then turn around and come away from those things. It is definitely going to be a problem. Let's go to Yohanan, John chapter 21. Start that at verse 1.
Yohanan chapter 21 and verse 1. After these things, Yahshua showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. And on this wise showed he himself. There were together Simeon Peter, and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other of his disciples. Simeon Peter says unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, We also go with you. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Yahshua stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Yahshua. Then Yahshua said unto them, Children, have you any meat? They answered him, No. And he said unto them, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and you shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it up for the multitude of fishes. Therefore that disciple whom Yahshua loved says unto Cephas, It is the Adonai. Now when Simeon Peter heard that it was the Adonai, he girt his father's coat onto him, for he was naked.
His fisher's coat.
Fisher's coat, onto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes. As soon then as they were come to the land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Yahshua says unto them, Bring of the fish which you have now caught. Simeon Peter went up, and drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. Yahshua says unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who are you? Knowing that it was the Adonai. Yahshua then comes and takes bread and gives them, and fish likewise. This is now the third time that Yahshua showed himself to his disciples after that he was risen from the dead. So when they had dined, Yahshua says to Simeon Peter, Simeon, son of Jonas, love you me more than these? He says unto him, Yes, Adonai, you know that I love you. He says unto him, Feed my lambs.
Right. If you love me, then there is some action that has to be connected to the love that you say you have. See, the ones who said they want to leave and go and deal with their own house, they want to do all of these things, he said that they are not fit to be servants for him. Then he says unto Cephas, do you love me? And if you love me, then these things that you're going to do. Go ahead.
He says to him again the second time, Simeon, son of Jonas, love you me? He says unto him, Yes, Adonai, you know that I love you. He says unto him, Feed my sheep.
See, and nowadays we would be too manly to say I love you to another man. Because, see, we scared that somebody going to put one of them rainbow flags in front of our car if we say that, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
He says unto him the third time, Simeon, son of Jonas, love you me? Cephas was grieved because he said unto him the third time, Love you me? And he said unto him, Adonai, you know all things. You know that I love you. Yahshua says unto him, Feed my sheep.
If you love me, you'll feed my sheep. Now, the question is, if you love him and you feed the sheep, what are you feeding them? You gonna feed the sheep some erroneous doctrine? Or some stuff you ain't even looked into, you just heard 5 minutes of and it sound good. So you fed that to them. But you listened to 5 minutes of it, but it was 50-minute, teaching. And then minute 45 was some poison. You just poison his sheep. Go ahead, bro.
No, it's, if the law is done away with, then how can, like you're saying, how can you feed them with not knowing what's written within the law? You can't feed them with just faith.
Exactly. But we feed people with things that we don't even understand ourselves. I watched some folks that used to go here. When they was eating, they required nothing but top stuff. You know what I'm saying? They didn't eat this, they didn't eat that. Got an opportunity for them to bring some food, and they brought something jacked up with high fructose corn syrup, but they wouldn't eat that.
Oh no. Oh no. No, that's just liquid diabetes right there.
But give them the opportunity, and they brought something jacked up on everything. Now that was kind of interesting. But they had, limitations on everything that they would deal with themselves. But when it was their turn, they brought the most unhealthy thing they could find. Wasn't even any brand. It was just it just meat. So you couldn't even get the name brand when it came. But you've been requiring that we give you nothing but organic. See, folk think they coming to a damn bistro when they coming in here. We coming in here to learn the word. Other people coming to eat. They coming in here making orders.
Excuse me, I want that shaken, not stirred.
Who the hell are you talking to? Read, man.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, when you was young, you girdeth yourself, and walk whither you would. But when you shall be old, you shall stretch forth your hands, and another shall gird you, and carry you whither you would not. This spake he, signifying by what death he should glorify Elohim. And when he had spoken this, he says unto him, Follow me.
At the end of the day, do what you're supposed to do to follow me. Let's go to James chapter 2. And you find out that everybody that says they're gonna follow Yahweh our Elohim is not fit to follow Yahweh our Elohim. They're not ready to serve Yahweh our Elohim. So I don't know what make people want to jump into the driver's seat and then realize that they can't drive. You probably should have thought about that before you got behind the wheel. But we want to be in control so bad, we don't think about that we can't drive until we in the middle of the street. Too late to try to figure out, okay, so how these gears go again? You what? You don't know nothing about the gears? You're in the middle of the street. You probably should have did that in the parking lot. James chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
My brethren, have not faith of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, the Adonai of glory, with respect of persons.
And we do it. You know, Israel has a real respect of persons thing, especially when it comes down to age. Because we don't know the difference between what a spiritual mother and a spiritual elder is. And for some reason, we have to explain this over and over. There are elders who have come into this word, and then there are people who have labored in this word, and they are spiritual elders in the fact that they have way more experience than somebody else who's twice their age. Go ahead.
For if there come unto your assembly a man with a gold ring, in goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiment, and you have respect to him that wears the gay clothing, and say unto him, Sit you here in a good place, and say to the poor, Stand you there, or sit here under my footstool. Are you not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, has not Elohim chosen the poor of this word, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he has promised to them that love him? But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by which you are called? If you fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you do well.
Right. Loving your neighbor as you do yourself is not a situation where you get to choose how you love yourself, so then you can do that to your neighbor.
Well, I mean, I lie to me. So, you know, it's only fair that I lie to Kish. I've done no more to him than I would do to myself.
Right. Read, man.
But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin, and are convinced of the law as transgressors. For whosoever shall keep the whole law, and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all.
Right.
For he that said, Do not commit adultery, said also, Do not kill. Now if you commit no adultery, yet if you kill, you are become a transgressor of the law.
Don't matter which part you broke. Go ahead.
So speak you, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. For he shall have judgment without mercy.
Listen.
And that showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiced against judgment.
He shall have judgment with no mercy on those who execute judgment without mercy. So you'll find some situations where some people will do something, or they come at somebody in a harsh way, and 4 days later, Yahweh calls something to happen to them, and we'll never connect the dots. And what Yahweh trying to show you, you know that's what you did to that person over there, right? Go ahead.
Verse 14. What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works, can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be you warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit? Even so faith, if it has not works, is dead, being alone.
Right. Your faith without any action behind it has absolutely no value whatsoever. It's just empty words. You might as well just stand on the corner and just quote. You say, give a bunch of those saints.
We are more than conquerors.
Just keep saying that all day. There's nothing behind it. Go ahead.
Yes, a man may say, You have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works.
My faith is shown by the things that I do, not the stuff that anybody can sit here and run and say out of their mouth. Go ahead.
You believe it that there's one Elohim. You does well. The devils also believe and tremble.
Right. So what separates you from the devils? You say, Lord, Lord, they did too. Lord, Lord. Big damn deal. What you gonna do? Where's your action behind that stuff you say you believe? Go ahead.
But will you know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Esaac his son upon the altar? See you how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness.
His belief was imputed unto him for righteousness because something was said and he moved. He didn't just sit there and holy, holy, holy all day. Go ahead.
And he was called the friend of Elohim. You see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only? Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works?
Once again, the harlot entered into the kingdom before you. See, you try to teach Israel something, but it's hard to teach somebody who think they know everything. Here come the harlot. She knows she ain't know nothing. She walking in. I guarantee you she did more sins than the folk who thought they knew something. But they still standing at the gate. Something wrong with that picture. Go ahead.
When she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way?
She did something though. See? And she did something that caused Israel to prosper, not just running off at the mouth, offering a bunch of lip service. And you'll find that the people who talk the most do the least. Every time you looking around, they talking about something. Where you working at? What you doing? Go ahead.
For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also.
All right, let's go to chapter 5.
You know, even in the situation with Rahab, not only did she do works, she put her life in jeopardy to do that work.
Right. And we ain't going to put our life in jeopardy for nothing. See? We're going to try to maintain everything we have. And we read the book. He who seeks to save his life shall lose it. And he who gives it up shall gain his life. So we do everything we can to save what we got and end up losing it anyway. Check that out. Go ahead.
Jacob chapter 5 and verse 1. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, cries, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Adonai of Sabbath.
Now, This is not for everyone who is rich. This is a warning to the rich, because these, it says, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. So basically, they find a way to charge the people for something so they don't have to pay them. See, I done had a job like that before. Everywhere you working, there's something else that they taking away from you. So when you get your check, it keep looking funny. Hey, man, I add up how many hours I got and how much I'm supposed to get paid. And this number ain't coming out right.
We all had to charge you for, the phone usage.
Yeah, but you're the only one I talk to.
I know. And I made sure you talked to me enough for me to charge you.
Man, what? But you the one gave me the phone. How can I not? Then you don't answer the phone. They'll call the customer house and make the customer say,
Your boss calling you.
man, come on, man. Then he charging you for the phone call that he called you. Right. Keeping back your pay by fraud. Go ahead.
Verse 5. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he does not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Adonai. Behold, the husbandman waits for the precious fruit of the earth, and has long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Be you also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Adonai draws near. Grudge not one against another. Brethren, lest you condemned, behold, the judge stands before the door. Take, my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Adonai, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience.
Take the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Adonai for an example of suffering. Every last one of these things that they have to do, they end up suffering for speaking the truth. So use them for an example. They didn't suffer because they had done something wrong. They suffered because they spoke the right word of Yahweh Elohim. And that's what ends up happening when you speak the word without partiality. See, this is what people want to do.
I know what the words say, but, because it's me, and, me and you, we cool. What say you?
I say you finna bust that lake of fire wide open. That's what I say. Next. Go ahead, bro.
Behold, we count them happy which endure. You have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Adonai, that the Adonai is very pitiful and of tender mercy. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath. But let your yes be yes, and your no be no, lest you fall into condemnation. Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing psalms. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with the oil in the name of the Adonai.
Right. And when we do that, will we do that, first of all? And then if we do it, do we do it correctly? So when we go to look for the elders of the church, do you just go and look for the oldest people you can find? Or you go and look and find out, hey, how long you been baptized in Yahshua? You got a natural age and a spiritual age. You better start learning the difference. I don't give a damn how old somebody's natural age is. You might have a 75-year-old, 2-year-old. Then you got a 35-year-old teenager. See, you don't even know, because they've been in the word that long. You better start asking both of them ages. At least you get yourself into some trouble. Said, did you go to the elders of the church?
Yeah, I went to the grayest person I can find. They was damn near silver. Yep, I know I got the oldest one. I could tell. Hell, they could barely even walk to me.
Right, you might want to ask those ages. So what's your age?
Is.
What? Ages. what are your ages? And if they don't understand what the hell you mean, that's not it. That ain't them. It says if they don't even understand ages, get the hell away from that person. They don't know what, they don't even have a clue that they got 2 ages. Go ahead, bro.
And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the adonai shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another.
Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another. And because some of us are confessing our faults to the wrong people, they not praying for you, they praying on you. You going confessing to the wrong people. That's that old Christian saying where one person had a drinking problem, 3 of them in there. The other one got an infidelity problem. And they asked the third one, what's your problem? So, I got a gossiping problem, and I can't wait to go and tell everybody about your drinking and your little sleepy problem. That's who some of us going to confess. When you go and all they doing is talking about everybody else, do understand something. They talk about you as soon as you leave. Don't get it twisted. You are the subject of conversation as soon as you walk out that door. I have folks that would talk to me about Kish and then talk to Kish about me. As if we weren't going to talk to each other and compare notes. That's what folks be hoping. That's how y'all helping them do wrong. Because you never call the people to the table about the erroneous information that's being passed back and forth. So you got to talk to somebody else and compare notes. Go ahead.
That you may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. Elias was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit.
Right, so it matter who you go and confess your faults to. All angels don't have the same power, and all men don't have the same power with Elohim. Go ahead.
Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins.
Right. You don't hide a multitude of sin by throwing it in the back of your closet. Acts chapter 20. See, you hide sin when those things are dealt with. There is repentance, and then those things are not able to be held against you. Then that sin is now hidden. You don't hide the sin by throwing stuff on top of it. That's not how you hide sin. See, we dealing with hiding in the natural sense and not hiding in the spiritual sense. See, when Yahshua hide it, they can't bring it up. They can say, well, didn't that person do such and such? Yes, they did. But they judged themselves for it, so it is not admissible in court. Next. Done deal. He didn't say you didn't do it. He said it can't be brought up in court. This is how they make sure that certain people get by in their court cases. They stack the deck. There's a video that shows somebody did something evil. If that's somebody they like, they make the video not admissible in court. So nobody could see that video. When they want to make sure that person get off, when they choose from a jury of their peers, it's really their peers. Like they all live like round the block. We supposed to be judged by a part of our peers, and we look and don't nobody on that jury look nothing like us. Who the hell peers are these? These are not my peers. There's nobody that look like me on that damn jury. We need to stop this trial right now. There's not one Pookie or man on that damn jury. I need this stopped now. All those people on that jury named Becky and Bob. I am definitely going to jail. That is not a jury of my peers. This is how they stack the deck against you. But see, we wait till the last minute before we start complaining. Go ahead.
Acts chapter 20 and verse 16. For Saul had determined to sail by Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia. For he hasted, if it were possible for him, to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost.
If it were possible, he is going to make this long journey to make his appearance. You look at us, we make long journeys for any old kind of natural thing we want. When it comes down to doing the things of righteousness, we have so many limitations. Won't do this. I won't do that. Can't do this. Don't want to do that. Can't. I don't feel right about this. Let it be some natural stuff. And we already out the door. Go ahead.
And from Miletus he sent to Ephesus, and called the elders of the church. And when they were come to him, he said unto them, You know, from the first day that I came into Asia, after what manner I have been with you at all seasons, serving the Adonai with all humility of mind, and with many tears and temptations which befell me by the lying in wait of the Yehudis, and how I kept back nothing that was profitable unto you, but have showed you and have taught you publicly and from house to house.
Right. He ain't going house to house shindigging. In these places, there are some places where they have synagogues, they have churches, and other places they don't. Then these people will gather at somebody's house. This is the beginning of the word. We have a congregation and still shindig. They ain't have no choice. So what's our excuse? Right. Go ahead.
Testifying both to the Yehudis and also to the Greeks, repentance toward Elohim and faith toward our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach. And now, behold, I go bound in the spirit unto Jerusalem, not knowing the things that shall befall me there.
Not knowing what's going to happen to me when I get there. Go ahead.
Save that the Holy Spirit witnesses in every city, saying that bonds and afflictions abide me. But none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself.
Right. See, everybody can't be a servant of Yahweh. Some people need to find the seat that they sitting in and stay in it. See, at least you be, exalt yourself to a position that you ain't ready for. Go ahead.
So that I might finish my course with joy, and the ministry which I have received of the Adonai Yahshua, to testify the gospel of the grace of Elohim. And now, behold, I know that you all, among whom I have gone preaching the kingdom of Elohim, shall see my face no more. Wherefore I take you to record this day that I am pure from the blood of all men. For I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of Elohim. Take heed therefore unto yourselves, and to all the flock, over the which the Holy Spirit had made you overseers, to feed the church of Elohim, which he has purchased with his own blood.
Ain't that the same thing that was told to Cephas? Mm-hmm. Feed my lamb. Do you love me? Feed my sheep. Next step, what are you going to feed my sheep? He automatically know that what's being expected to feed the sheep is the same doctrine that I fed onto you. You pull away something else, now you poisoning the sheep. See, there's people who don't know no better, that they eating stuff that they think is food and it ain't food. See, when you're young, you can eat that McDonald's every night. Boy, when you get grown, your body start revolting. You eat that McDonald's and you realize that my neck's swelling up. I ain't went to the bathroom in a week and a half. Hey, you realize, you know what? I don't think that stuff is real beef. Right. But see, that young body, it didn't care. That young body was like, McDonald's. When you get older, it'd be like, McDonald's. Your kids be like, you try to do something for your kids. All right, what y'all want to eat? And you already know one of them going to say, McDonald's. You be like, no, baby, no. No, baby, pick something else. I don't understand why. Because
Daddy not gonna go to the bathroom in a week and a half if I go to. I can't go there, baby. I can't. I'm all mecked out. I can't do that no more. Those days are gone. You can't just feed the sheep anything. Not if you care about them. And if you're gonna feed sheep something, you have to diligently go over those things to see what the ingredients are. What we'll do, we'll read ingredients in something on a food aisle. But we won't consider, if you're giving somebody a 50-minute video, have you watched all 50 minutes of it? Did you examine all 50 minutes of it? Because if you're gonna then feed that to the sheep, you have to feed that to the sheep. All right, minute 8 is the thing that I'm talking about now. Minute 12, 14, and 17 got some pure poison in it. Please don't listen to that. All right, 18 minutes and 27 seconds is a good thing. Have you examined the food that you're about to feed to one of Yahweh's sheep? If they get hurt, blood is on your hands. Go ahead.
You know, brother, even looking at something for 50 minutes the first time, you did not see everything in there.
But what are you saying? You got to examine that over and over and over before you send that out to somebody else. Then you done missed some poison. Because y'all know how we go in the la la land. We'll be looking at something. And we already floating off. So no, you didn't get that. Then check that out. You done floated off in the Never Never Land, but you sent the video and you didn't get poisoned by it because you was all this at one point. But now the person you sent it to got poisoned because they was actually focused on the point that you missed. Ooh, you got double blood on your hand. Go ahead.
Verse 29. For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock.
Same thing Moshe said. Go ahead.
Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away disciples after them.
All right, come follow me. Go ahead.
Therefore watch, and remember, that by the space of 3 years I cease not to warn everyone night and day with tears.
Everyone night and day with tears. Go ahead.
And now, brethren, I commend you to Elohim and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up, and to give you an inheritance among all them which are sanctified. I have coveted no man's silver, or gold, or apparel. Yea, you yourselves know that these hands have ministered unto my necessities and to them that were with me.
Right. See, look here. I got my own job. So don't think now one of y'all paid for all my stuff. These hands ministered unto my needs. Because, you know, Jacob pulled that out on you in a minute.
That's a nice motorcycle Sock got out there. I must be giving too much.
Oh, but they ain't out there to 50 hours. I'm out working a week. They ain't out there them days. They don't see none of that.
That truck looked like it got some 20s on it.
Right. See, Jake think this all I do. Right. No, I ain't klepto. This ain't all I do. Go ahead, bro.
I have showed you all things, how that so laboring you ought to support the weak, and to remember the words of the Adonai Yahshua, how he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And when he had thus spoken, he kneeled down and prayed with them all. And they all wept sore, and fell on Saul's neck, and kissed him, sorrowing most of all for the words which he spake, that they should see his face no more. And they accompanied him onto the ship.
All right. And one of the things that we, have to look at when we look at Saul, that his whole job was called with suffering. It was said unto him, what great things he must suffer for my name's sake. So even the job that he was given was also a way for him to work off the things that he had done, because he had persecuted other people in the word before he believed in the word. So now his walk
is directly helping him with the things that he did before. So when we decide we're going to walk away from the plow, do you not understand that Yahweh had a designed thing for you to work off the very things that you did? Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 1. That walk was carefully designed for you. Saul got way more tribulation than anybody else. Why? Because he caused more tribulation than anybody else. This was specifically made for him to work out his salvation. If he turned around and walked another path other than the one that Yahweh had set for him, he messed up his own salvation. That's what we do when we think we know something. Well, I ain't going to do it like this no more. I'm going to do it like that. You just walked away from the plan that he had for your salvation. Because see, our problem is this. We catch spiritual amnesia about some of the things that we've done. See, we don't remember none of them things that happened, when we was, in them glorious 20s and 25s. We don't remember none of that stuff. Yahweh does. And it is not a necessity that you remember it for you to have judgment about it. Because, we think that removes judgment. I don't remember. What that mean? Mm-hmm. What that mean? That don't mean nothing. Judgment still got to come for it. Nobody care about what you remember. And that's the sad part. That means you did so much that it's hard for you to remember. First Timothy chapter 1, let's start at verse 1.
Saul, an apostle of Yahshua the Anointed One, by the commandment of Elohim our Savior, and Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, which is our hope. On to Timothy, my own son in the faith.
My own son in the faith. This is somebody that he taught. He has taught him. He's given him all of these things. But Timothy's father was a Greek. Saul is the one who authorizes these teachings. He's teaching him and telling him what to teach to everybody else. Go ahead.
Grace, mercy, and peace from Elohim our Father, and Yahshua HaMashiach our Adonai. As I besought you to abide still at Ephesus, when I went into Macedonia, that you might charge some that they teach no other doctrine.
Right. The same thing that them brothers was going through then is the same thing we going through now. You charge them that they teach no other doctrine. And you have folks that'll come in with another doctrine like it ain't nothing. We saying one thing, they saying something altogether different. And all you gotta do is listen. Their words testify against them. Just listen to the words. That's all you gotta do. You ain't gotta do no deep digging. You're gonna hear some words. What? You're gonna tell you. Go ahead.
Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions, rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do.
So he's giving him instructions on the things that he may encounter and how to deal with those things. See, these are things the children of Israel should already know. Go ahead.
Now the end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. From which some, having swerved, have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say, nor wherefore they affirm.
Right. It ain't nothing worse than being taught by somebody who don't know what in the world they teaching. But it sound good. And they was real articulate. Go ahead.
But we know that the law is good, if a man use it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine.
Right. This is who the law is made for. So if somebody has to put fringes on to remember to not lie, then that's what they need to do. But don't turn around and charge everybody else and say that they need to have on fringes 24 hours a day because you can't remember how to tell the truth. So now they need to be in the shower and they got to have on a fringe belt. Because, I might lie in the shower. So I need to wear this stuff that reminds me to keep the law. I got to figure out where I'm going to clip these at. Read, bro.
According to the glorious gospel of the blessed Elohim, which was committed to my trust. And I thank Yahshua HaMashiach, our Adonai, who has enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor.
See, this is what happened when you remember what you did. See? So we don't even understand when we receive certain issues later on in life. We act like we don't know why those things are there. He know it. Hey, no. I know why I'm going through this. But I'm working out my salvation through this. That's why he wasn't hurt about it. He said, this is glorious because Yahweh has given me an opportunity to work out my salvation. This ain't just suffering just to be suffering. He taking care of my account. Go ahead, brother.
Who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious. But I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief.
I did it ignorantly in unbelief. What does that mean? He didn't do it on the side of his baptism. There's some things that we've done on this side of the baptism. Those things can't be claimed ignorantly in unbelief. Oh, no. You entered into a covenant into that water. You were instructed out of this book. These things are not being ignorant and unbelief. That was that stuff before the baptism. You understand? So you got folks that got in the water and still lie like a Persian rug. Oh, something wrong with that? Go ahead.
And the grace of our Adonai was exceeding abundant with faith and love, which is in Yahshua HaMashiach. This is a faithful saying, and worthy of all acceptation, that Yahshua HaMashiach came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief.
Of whom I am chief. Hold on. This brother teaching. He didn't try to go in there and act like he was perfect. He talks about his past and the things that he falls and has to straighten himself out on. He didn't try to teach like he had it all together. He used every last one of those things as an example unto his teaching. And he's telling the next guy so that he understands how to teach. Go ahead.
And see, that's the thing with people, man. You don't understand that once you come on this side, your past is a good teaching tool. If you first can accept it.
$1 million statement there, brother. If you can accept it yourself.
See, I don't want nobody to know that I used to do that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Howbeit for this cause I obtained mercy, that in me first Yahshua HaMashiach might show forth all long suffering, for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him to life everlasting. Now on to the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only wise Elohim, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen. This charge I commit unto you, son Timothy, according to the prophecies which went before on you, that you by them might war a good warfare, holding faith and a good conscience, which some having put away concerning faith have made shipwreck, of whom is Hymenaeus and Alexander, whom I have delivered unto Satan, that they may learn not to blaspheme.
Right, you deliver them unto Satan, let them wrestle out there a little bit in the world, and then maybe in that we will learn not to blaspheme. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 2.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 1. You therefore, my son, being strong in the grace that is in Yahshua HaMashiach.
Right. You know, once again, these instructions to be able to teach so that, look, I'm going to be separated from you. I won't be able to keep giving you all of these things each way. So listen to these things as you go about to teach, but beware of these things that are going to come upon you. Go ahead.
And the things that you have heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit you to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. You therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahshua HaMashiach. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier.
No man that warreth entangles himself with the affairs of this life. Remember all them things? Let me first go bury my father. Let me first go deal with the things at my house. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. And then I'll come and deal with you with whatever energy I have left. I don't want that. You keep that. Go ahead.
And if a man also strive for mastery, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully. The husbandman that labors must be first partaker of the fruits. Consider what I say, and the Adonai give you understanding in all things. Remember that Yahshua HaMashiach of the seed of David was raised from the dead according to my gospel, wherein I suffered trouble, as an evildoer, even unto bonds. But the word of Elohim is not bound. Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Yahshua HaMashiach with eternal glory. It is a faithful saying, for if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him.
Right. But for us to let some of us die, that is to let that old man be put aside and take on the new direction that we receive from the Spirit. But are we able to do that? What you find out is people want to deal with the word, but us coming out of wherever we came out of, whether it was Christendom, whether it was coming out of the synagogue of Satan, whether it was whatever, when we want to try to formulate the truth and shape it so that it looks exactly like the lie that we came out of, there's a serious problem there. Go ahead.
If we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. If we believe not, yet he abides faithfully. He cannot deny himself. Of these things put them in remembrance, charging them before the Adonai that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers.
Right, that they strive not about words to no profit. As it is written, they making a man offender for a word. Well, you use this word and not that word. Go ahead.
Study to show yourselves approved unto Elohim, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Right. Once we deal with something and we put ourselves in the place of direction or teaching, we make ourselves responsible for the things that we put out there. You know, when you get on one of them jobs for one of the Babylonian business leaders, you find out that they show you a whole lot of things. There's things that we may do in the street that seem like it was a good idea. You know, like somebody trying to get in between a car in traffic and you waving them on. If they have an accident, you know you caused that accident. You just jumped in the line of a traffic cop by directing traffic. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Felt right till you got to court. Whole lot of stuff feel right till you get to court. And you find out, oh, it's a law against that. And what you feel, think, and believe don't mean that no more. Only thing that matters is what they got in that book over there. Same thing here. What you think, feel, and believe don't mean nothing. Only thing that matters is right there. Go ahead.
You know, and that's the thing about not knowing laws. Most people was breaking the law when this thing went down and they started putting a mask on their face in Georgia. You were breaking the law. It was against the law to put on a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Kemp had to amend that. But see how we jump out and do stuff?
Right. So he told you to break the law. Because he didn't realize right away that it was a law after they done told you, put the mask on. Check that out. But you know, it was made for the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
So then they said, you know what I'm saying, of course, now the KKK put their hood on. And they go to the store. What are you talking about? This is just a mask for my breathability. What power? Right. Go ahead.
Verse 16. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And their word will eat as does a canker, of whom Hymenaeus and Philetus, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already.
And what did it do?
Overthrew the faith of some.
Right. See, there's some things that we can come out with some other doctrine and cause somebody's faith to fall, and you will come into judgment for that. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal, the Adonai knows them that are his, and let everyone that names the name of the Mashiach depart from lawlessness. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and
Pay
of silver,
attention. In a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver. Go ahead.
but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor.
Right. You better make sure you understand what vessel you dealing with. At least you go to Yahweh and say, well, I got this from a good source. And Yahweh says, no, you didn't. Let's go to Psalm chapter 1. Psalm chapter 1 and verse 1, and we're going to read that through 2 and verse 7.
Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law does he meditate day and night.
What we will do is meditate in some other stuff, and that's how we get pulled aside. Because we're meditating in something else. That's how we're able to fall to the false doctrine. Because we're not meditating in the right thing. Go ahead.
And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, and bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahweh knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.
Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. Go ahead.
Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder, and cast away their cords from us. He that sits in the heavens shall laugh, the Adonai shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his anger, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahweh had said unto me, you art my son, this day have I begotten you.
All right, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to, let's read Psalms 2 and verse 8 through 3 and verse 8.
Okay. Ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession.
I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance. The earth and the fullness therein belongs to Yahweh. If all those who are sons of Elohim shall receive the inheritance. Go ahead.
You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O you kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve Yahweh with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish from the way. When his anger, is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Yahweh, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, there's no help for him in Elohim.
Right. We have to understand just how cloudy things are going to get. We see that all it takes is one situation to make everything change. I mean, people could not even foresee any of this that's happening right now. It took one thing and everything that we know changed. And it is amazing when you start talking to people about certain things. Oh, that could never happen. I remember years ago, my elder used to read the stuff about the King Alfred plan, and they was talking about the things that were going to be implemented once they were going to make unemployment get to a certain rate. And once it got to that rate, they would be able to implement martial law and things like that. Man, this was 12 years ago. And we're like, man, how in the world is unemployment going to get that high? We're trying to figure out how in the world is unemployment going to get that high? Because that's going to justify all the other stuff. How that's going to happen? Here we go. Very, very high unemployment. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For you, O Yahweh, are a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter up of mine head. I cried unto Yahweh with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. I laid me down and slept. I awaked, for Yahweh sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about.
Read that again.
I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about.
We need to be ready. Go ahead.
Arise, O Yahweh, save me.
Right, because my trust is not in what I can do with my physical hands. My physical hands don't provide my trust and my faith. I have an Elohim that has the ability to do things that I can't do. Go ahead.
Arise, O Yahweh, save me, O my Elohim, for you have smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. You have broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongs unto Yahweh. Your blessing is upon your people.
All right, that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.